Welcome to Reading the Green, a golf and fantasy sports show. My name is Mike with Kyle on Tuesday, September 24th, episode 123, 123, President's Cup preview, an RTG Invitational preview, and more or less, Kyle, an emergency pod.
Yes, well, it's great to be here, Mike. We still have our APB out for our third member here someday. Hopefully this weekend we see him at some point in time. But yeah, let's talk some golf. I enjoy the President's Cup. It's something I'll tune into a little bit, and I'm very excited for what else we got going on this weekend.
Let me just ask you this. You sound a little rough. Was it Hawkeyes Gophers this weekend or something?
Hawkeyes, Gophers, a great second half of football. It was. I was there in person. Might have consumed some adult beverages and done some tailgating. I enjoy to cook, so and especially enjoy to cook at tailgates. Cook football tailgates, cooking. It's all go together. So it was grand old time. But the hoarseness is not from that. Just kind of fall. Let's just call it fall.
Was that chicken satay that you sent me a picture of? What did you make this weekend?
I had 5 different skewers going. So
Okay.
yes, it was kind of there was a buffalo chicken situation. There was a barbecue one for those that wanted it mild. There was like a Middle Eastern spice on chicken, and then there was a Southwest steak and then some veggies. Yeah, just in case. Veggies.
Nice. Yeah,
I
I
was
almost
happy with
texted
how it
you
turned
a
out.
picture of like 9 consecutive punts in that game, and I thought that was just a classic Iowa Minnesota pillow fight. 9 consecutive punts, and then the scoring took off.
Yeah, second half, Iowa just ran it down their throat. It's great. But no, I did not lose my voice from that. The people behind me, I'm guessing, were a little hoarse the next day. I don't know if I've heard somebody yell, "Let's go," and as often as I was hearing. And then maybe an explicitive in there from time to time too. It was very annoying.
You gotta love that about some fans. They got like one thing. They show up with like one line, and they wear it out the whole night.
Ran into the ground. They were Gophers fans. The Gophers I was with was also just sick of it as well. They left with 10 minutes left.
All right. Well, why don't we start with the A topic, which to me is the RTG Invitational. We'll get to the President's Cup. I want you to sell me on why I should tune into the President's Cup this weekend. RTG Invitational. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. The long tease. Now we get this thing right around the corner. Sunday, mid-morning, after we spent the night out at one of our favorite local restaurants, which, Kyle, is Halloween themed, and you now have at least 50% of the attending party wearing costumes.
I joked about this in our text exchange at one point in time, but I might just show up as a golfer.
Ugh. Classic
What?
frat boy costume. Like, I wear golf
No,
clothes to class. I wear golf clothes to the Halloween frat party.
I wouldn't do that. I didn't wear golf clothes to class. I don't know. I mean, things are different out east. I realize that, but all right. I mean, I have some other low-hanging fruit costumes that I can pull out but don't expect a lot of effort on my end.
I only have costumes that I just step in and zip up, so they're extremely low effort. I just pull them out when needed. I'm looking forward to that, though. I'm really looking forward to that. So then the next morning, we got our teach invitation. We booked that tea time late enough in the morning so that we can work off anything that might be ailing you in the early Sunday hours. We got a special guest that's going to be playing with us, friend of the pod. Um, what's your take? Early line. You sent me the handicaps. Should I pull it up?
Yeah, go for it. I was really hoping sometime this week, Mike, to sneak out, not necessarily to the range, but I want to practice one thing in particular prior to Sunday. Can you guess what that is?
Mm, chipping.
It's close. I mean, it's related to chipping, but specifically out of the sand. I
Uh,
would have called myself someone that it was even the first part of last year, like legit good out of the sand relative to the rest of my game. And I've completely lost it. and I'm very nervous about that element on Sunday because I'm a guy that shoots much lower if I not necessarily get up and down, but get up and down in three, right? A chip and two
Yeah,
putts.
yeah, yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
that really helps my game. Um, so I'm excited. I'm coming off a 2 week gap here since the last round this weekend. I'm just maybe hoping to find a little sand practice and maybe even that's just Sunday morning. And we got a little practice bunker over there.
There you go. Yeah, I think get out early, get warmed up. So here's what it looks like. Sunday morning, 4 players, RTG Invitational, you, me, Jordan, and then listener Dan. Stroke play. It's medal play. Lowest net score takes home the trophy. I'll get to that in a second. I'm clocking in. We talked about this 2 weeks ago at a 1.3 index. I did not do the course handicap adjustments here, so I probably should do that. 1.3 index. Jordan a 5.3. Listener Dan an 8.1, and Kyle, you're not on this image that you sent me, so you'll have to tell me what your index is. 22?
21-7.
21-7.
I believe.
21-7.
Oh, 21-6. That's the lowest handicap on my end.
And surprisingly, the first two instantiations of the RTG Invitational came down to a playoff. So the handicap system at work, you and I tied on the number in dramatic fashion. We don't have to recount both final holes, but just in dramatic fashion, it came down to a 19th hole playoff. So I think it's going to be tight this year, and I want to unveil to you something that I've been working on over the last several days that I think you're gonna be really excited about. Okay, this is for the video watchers. I'm gonna go get the traveling trophy, the unveiling of the traveling trophy. Now you've seen this jet black Vokey 58 degree with
Yeah.
green lettering and RTG stamped on the blade. Um, but what you haven't seen is the engraving of the champions that you can now find on the shaft.
Oh man.
And the winner will have their name engraved and get to have this trophy for the 1 year until the next RTG Invitational.
I mean, if I win, do I get to play with it for a year? I
Absolutely
mean,
not. Please don't I mean, that could be kind of a fun bit, but it's in such great shape.
I know, but that's better than my wedges.
It's...
No, I won't. I won't.
So, in addition to getting first pick out of the mystery swag box that's still sitting under my desk here, you will get the traveling jet black Vokey 58 degree with your name engraved on the shaft.
That's exciting. I'm sure the wives will be thrilled of that edition, but it will be very nice next to my golf trophy here behind me.
We'll
Hey,
see what you can pull
this
off.
is a legit trophy, ladies and gentlemen. It has a dart on it, but it's for golf.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you threw a dart, it sounded like, on that hole. But
I
yeah,
did.
I mean, I haven't played. Let's see, I guess last weekend I did play 9 holes on a regulation course, and I did play 9 holes on an executive course. I will say it's the first time on said executive course this summer that I hit all 9 greens and two putted all of them. That was kind of fun. Um, so, things feeling pretty good. I got my perfect putt practice mat in the basement here, draining 8 footers on end on a perfectly flat, slow surface. So, Oak Ridge Country Club, give me a lot of those flat, straight 8 footers.
Yeah, yeah. We should say Jordan did get a practice round in, straight off a flight from Europe. He
You
played
know,
in the swag event on Monday.
he did. And you know what? This is a good sign for you and me, because what you said was Jordan walking off the plane is a dangerous golfer, and he shot 82 at Hazeltine. He's a 5 handicap. Like, he shoot 82 on most. 82 on Hazeltine off a week at an Oktoberfest in Munich. Steps off the plane and shoots that number, which means his next round ain't gonna be that good.
All right, that's where I'm at too.
So, and then fill me in on listener Dan. What's his game like?
I feel like everyone has the guy they play with from time to time, and I play with Dan probably 2, 3 times a year, where they're a good golfer. You've seen the glimpses, and you know they just play a decent amount. He's a member of a club and stuff too. I don't feel like Dan plays that well when he plays with me though. So I'm not talking crap, Dan, not not putting the bulletin board material out there. I would say I see more of a like a 10-11 Dan when I play with them as opposed to a 7-8.
Well, it's still late September golf. Everybody's rounds have totally slowed down, so you just never know what you can get at this point in the season. I will say I do appreciate the course that we're playing is very fair off the tee, wide fairways. It's a par 70, but plays pretty long. If you play the tips, it's 68.50 from the tips as a par 70, which plays pretty long for us AMs. I don't think we'll play back there, but fairways are generous. Greens have some pretty severe false fronts and contours, and then tough par threes. I think the first three par threes on the course are all. I know we played the tips one time. I hit 2 iron into all of them, so they're all kind of mid to long iron, except for the last one's a little shorter. But it'll be a good test.
Yeah, we should have good weather as well. We've
Yeah,
had some challenges with that in the RTG Invitational in the past. So yeah, let's go.
I do like this. The kids are sleeping over at Grandma and Grandpa's on Saturday night while we go out, so the whole morning's open. I don't know when they're coming home, but I feel like I got the pass for the morning. I can just kind of settle in and get ready to go.
Let's go, Mike.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll have some stuff out on the socials for people to catch up with that as that wraps up on Sunday. And at the same time, we'll be tuning in to the final matches on the President's Cup. Kyle, why should I care about the President's Cup this year?
You
Give
know,
me one reason.
uh I don't know if I have exactly one, but I mean it's team golf. And the team golf are the best type of team golf that there is, right? It's not the Ryder Cup, but I've always enjoyed the President's Cup in the past. We had it in Qual Hollow last time around. I have some distinct memories of the event. That was kind of Tom Kim's coming out party from introduction of a broader stage. He had won some events that year, but really showed his emotions and had a great time doing it. And from all accounts that I've seen of folks on the ground this week, it seems like it's going to be a pretty good environment, and it's the players seem to be pretty locked in. And I think you have a lot of guys on the American side that are using this as a tune-up for next year. Um, maybe trying to prepare differently than they did for the Ryder Cup last time around, and are using this as a showcase as well. So I'm excited. It gives us something to watch. It gives you some real golf when we haven't had some in a while, and it's a team event. Let's go.
There have been 14 President's Cups going back to 1994 was the first one. The Robert Trent Jones Golf Club, or they just played the Solheim Cup. The U.S. has won 12 of them. They've tied one of them and they've lost one of them. The year that the international team won was at Royal Melbourne back in 1998. So the U.S. has won the last 9 President's Cups and in just dominant fashion in many of them. So when I say give me a reason to care, I think the storyline right now is yes, it's team golf, but hey, come on, this isn't even a competition. It's an exhibition at best. The international team's going to get crushed. Um, but my take is as soon as those first matches go off on Thursday, you forget all about that. To your point, it's elite level golf. This is the best golf you can watch at this time of year. And I usually find myself by the time those matches are closing out, I'm locked in for the weekend. So it's hard to care right now, but once it gets going, I think I'll be amped up.
I agree. And you talked a little bit to the history. So we are at Royal Montreal Golf Club this week. It has been hosted the President's Cup in the past. Last in 2007, the United States team, captained by Jack Nicklaus, defeated Gary Player and the international team 19.5 to 14.5. It's the oldest golf club in North America, Mike, they claim.
Yeah, and it looks like that on TV. What do you got for me on the golf course?
I would say the biggest thing I've seen so far, and I don't have a great DFS breakdown like we typically would, is a lot of complaints that there's one bridge on and off this island that this course is on. So if you're for some reason happening to go, plan to go ahead early. That's the biggest thing I learned. But outside of the course, specific this week, it's just also important to keep in mind we have a different format. We have captain mode, so it's very similar to what you see in some of the NFL daily contests on like a Thursday night or Sunday night or Monday night. But you can pick the captain, can be any of the 24 players in the event. The salary is 1.5 times the salary of the other players, but you also get 1.5 times the points. Uh, so really the captain's incredibly crucial. You need to get it right, and it's not. I wouldn't say though, and one of the things I really struggle with on NFL early is you got to find your balance. It's not necessarily always picking the best player, but it's not always picking a cheapie so you can jam studs in as well. So you really need to, kind of balance what the rest of your squad looks like by trying to get as much out of your captain as absolutely possible.
I think you typically see a lot of you're going to have lineup strategy, which is the goal is to maximize the number of matches that your players play and also to potentially anticipate who the teammates are going to be. And so correct me if I'm wrong, I mean shows the level of prep have right now. Because players are not guaranteed to play with a particular teammate, their salaries are going to be at different price points. So, for example, Xander Schauffele is going to be a lot more expensive than Patrick Cantlay. But if you believe that Cantlay and Schauffele are going to play 4 team matches together, then you technically can get the same number of points in all those matches for Cantlay at a fraction of the price for Xander. Now, Xander and Cantlay would play singles matches separately, but so you have that to have to work through is who is going to actually get the most number of matches, and then how can you take advantage of some of the potential team pairings, assuming those don't get mixed up through the weekend.
Correct. Yeah, and I mean, and that offers the opportunity to double up as well. I think it's kind of to the point, but just continuing the thought about lineup construction, and I think this is if you're playing DFS this week, this is the most important thing, even more so than trying to figure out a course fit. Is just really try to pick what your convictions are on who's going to play with who, or what you can pick up on who's going to play with who they're going to be matched against the best you can, and try to do exactly what Mike said. But along that lines, if you pick Sam Burns as your captain at 12-6, thinking he's going to play with Scotty the whole way, that was going to open up your lineup to a lot more options than starting with a Xander or a Cantlay, for example. If down the board, someone that I think could be somewhat interesting. We're playing in Canada, and then actually was pretty strong towards the latter half of the year, and has shown the ability to have really high upside. Is Taylor Pendrith? He's only 4,200. He's a good tool to drive the ball, can be a good putter, and he's cheap. You'll see that a lot of that in the national squad, but I think that's going to be the key to this week. And I wish I recalled exactly how the results from the international from the President's Cup before. But I want to say like a good high end lineup was kind of a 4-2 format, not a 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to find which internet. If you think US is going to dominate, you have to find that captain that allows you to get the US players you want in, and then you got to get your international guys right.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be international players that play, 5 matches, and there's going to be at least one of them that's going to win 3 or 4. Like it's going to happen. And you're right. You got it. There might just be one of them, but you can find the right one. And yeah, I don't think either of us are gonna have a ton of DFS takes in terms of which players we want to roster this week. But I had a couple more thoughts here. First of all, some of the promo material for the event. I love seeing these posters of like Scotty and Xander against Connors and oh no, shoot, and Mackenzie Hughes.
Decky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Mackenzie Hughes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the internationals are got Mackenzie Hughes, which I know it's in Canada and all that, but I got a kick out of that. I just some of the overheads of the course feels old. It's narrow. It's tree line. It's parkland golf out here in Canada. I've seen some comps to Hilton Head or Colonial where you just have these tree lined fairways in very much a Pete Dye fashion. It's about positioning off the tee, and that makes sense. Ball strikers tend to be more the international style of play, so they're going to choose golf courses that reward ball striking, have small greens, and so if you're not accurate on your iron play, you're going to have to rely heavily on your around the green play, and that in a sense neutralizes a lot of the American power. I mean, I know that's why like Hazeltine has been set up so well is because they clear out a bunch of space, they cut the rough down, and just say go bang it as far as you can on Hazeltine. So now we'll see if that plays out for the internationals this year, and if you can actually get that much of a home course advantage. But anything else on the golf course in terms of the type of play that gets it done?
I saw a little bit of. I don't think there's a general consensus outside of the stuff you've talked about. I saw some breakdowns on Twitter, Andy Lack, and think some of the other experts we follow, trying to do the bucketing exercise on approaches and who's iron game might be the best fit depending on where you're going to come from and whatnot. But I just think there's a possible several different ways to attack this track. I saw his breakdown. He had 50% of the approach shots coming in 150, 200 yards. But I think that's also, it could be different depending on, you have guys like Brian Harmon, for example, who may lay back off the driver because you don't have to be as far, or you can take some aggressive lines to go over some of the trees as well. So I, I think it's a decent track from that perspective for a competition like this because it does kind of leave it open. I don't think it's going to be a bomber's paradise, but at the same time, it's not so tight and heavily treed. Yes, it's tight and treed, but it's not so tight and heavily treed that you're in jail if you get offline every time.
Well, what have you seen as far as, and we didn't run a RTG model this week for DFS plays, but what have you seen so far in terms of expert attention on a few players or where's your lean? I mean, I'm thinking I just made all these comments about trying to protect against American power. You can't protect golf courses against Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele.
Yeah, and so I think that's really what it's going to boil down to. You got to make your choice. Obviously, we talked about captain and some of the game theory behind that, but then are you going to be a team, Xander Cantlay guy, or are you going to be a team Scotty Burns guy? And then who are you going to take from the American side to fill in from there? Then the international side, I think it's Tedeki or not Decky, is going to be an important decision at the top of your board, and then which flyer you like. I think that's going to be a very common lineup construction, but at the same time, I think it could be I'm hopeful it's a very successful one because I'll probably be of a similar vein. Um, but at the same time, as we kind of talked about, I think there's a lot of opportunity this week, and it's more about, you know, what you think from a pairing perspective and handling that game theory side of it, as opposed to trying to hammer in a course fit or some of the situations we usually use in our breakdowns.
Yeah, I think you're right. And given that the actual event forces you to play a certain way. I mean, that's match play. Guys are going to play differently. They're going to play situational golf. It's in the context of what's going on in that particular match. And so you're going to see decisions made that aren't necessarily how you do it in medal play. And so I think you're right. It's like the match play. This is a game theory week. It's about setting up a lineup that isn't dead in the water the second everybody tees off.
Yep, that's a great point, especially about the difference in strategies, Mike. I completely agree.
Well, Kyle, I will leave you. We can leave it at that. A quick little President's Cup teaser. I think you got me a little excited about it. It's just it's watching the studs play golf. I mean, you obviously can flip over and watch the a Kona Open de España presented by Madrid. And you can see all your favorite DP World Tour and Live players this weekend as well. So you got lots of good golf. Everybody's playing this weekend. You know what I'm doing on Sunday?
Golfing.
Golfing. I'm golfing on Sunday. So I look forward to seeing you this weekend, both Saturday evening and Sunday morning. It's going to be a great RTG weekend.
Concur.
Final predictions for the RTG Invitational?
Oh, well, it's hard to get that against a two-time champion, Mike. And
I'm
quite
not getting a lot
frankly,
of strokes. I'm probably given the fewest strokes or the most strokes I've had to give in the last 2 years.
I'm also getting the least that I've gotten.
Fair.
If I would be pretty impressed if I could make it a close competition for 3 years going. But I've been playing. I've been pretty happy with the game. So I'm gonna say it's we're neck and neck, and maybe I don't pull out the Miracle on 18 this time, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
The only prediction I have is let's form a pact between the three RTG hosts. Let's not let the listener invitee leave with the traveling trophy.
First time on the course, steep hill to climb.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, RTG content is around the corner as fall golf picks up. You can follow us on Twitter at RTG Podcast, DFS, our YouTube channel, Reading the Green, and enter any major podcast platform. And we'll see. We're trying to squeeze in a show next week for the Sanderson Farms Championship and RTG Invitational recap. See you.